Speedway New Zealand Fierce Fair.
I'm only young once, let's get a sprint car and go for it.
And first heat I sort of thought, what am I doing out here?
Hi folks, welcome to Edge Parts and Performance Methanol Madness. Well, we're on the countdown to Carnival Fireworks Night on the 19th of November. As usual, I'm joined in the studio by AJ Batt. Welcome AJ.
Yeah, hi Craig, and time flies when we're having a lot of fun.
It sure does, and we've got Louise Smith. She's joined us by video link again. Welcome to the show, Louise.
Hi Craig, thanks for having me back. Yeah, we're on the countdown to some really big meetings coming up, so it's going to get interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, you've got the Quarter Midget South Island Championship happening at Ellesmere, so we'll report in on that. A lot of our local drivers performing there, and I think Jack Brownlee's has got a good chance of taking that one out. But the first thing we'll look at today is the KH Fabrication Crash of the Week, and of course if you break it, he'll fix it. And it's Bay Park Speedway, no racing at Ruapuna, and here we go. We've got the sprinters. Brian Edwards taking a bit of a tumble there, and there's a fair bit to this, AJ. What can you tell us?
Well, what we can see here is that Brodie Matheson there just gets a bit of drive off the right rear, brings the front of the car towards the infield. Edwards nowhere to go, and that's actually quite a hard dump, that one.
As you say, Brodie Matheson got a lot of right rear drive there, and that car just come in, the gap did close, and sprint car racing is a matter of inches, and we see that car come to a tumble, and Brian Edwards gingerly getting out of that car, but all okay there. A bit of damage on the wing and probably a bit of a front end, so hopefully everything's okay there. Time to move on to our meeting review brought to us by ProBend, and no racing at Ruapuna of course, but some of our classes did travel. And Louise, it was the Quarter Midgets and TQs both racing at Nelson. What can you tell us about the meeting?
Well, the meeting actually went really well for us Christchurch drivers. We saw both Christchurch cars take out the Quarter Midget and TQ feature, with Jack Brownlee's and Tyler Warnock being those drivers.
Yeah, there was some footage on social media there, and I did watch Tyler Warnock actually win that race, and he did perform very well. It looked like he got to the front very early in the feature race. What did you make of it?
I think it was really impressive actually to come from the 11th grid all the way to the front in just a matter of laps, and to stay there was really impressive.
Yeah, AJ, Tyler Warnock, he's been a good threat in the TQs for a long time now.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Tyler Warnock's, and you know, if he didn't have bad luck sometimes he'd have no luck, but when this guy really gets everything together, he is going to be right at the top of the tree.
Yeah, good stuff. The other classes that we will review was the sprint cars up in Bay Park. Normally we have Matthew Leversedge racing there, but a few transportation problems getting him back and forth between the islands restricted his racing. But we did have the sprint cars going around, and of course this is leading up to our sprint car title here in Ruapuna, so we take a lot of interest in this. The first race was won by Daniel Thomas. He's in very good form at the moment, and the second race was taken out by Rodney Wood. We'll have a quick look at this, and Rodney's really hiking around the Bay Park Speedway these days, and we all know that he's in charge of the track itself, and they've recambered it, and he's looking pretty racy again, AJ.
Yeah, he is. He's one of those seasoned campaigners. He knows every inch of the place, just like you say, with the preparation and so on. And Rodney Wood, he's very, very tough to beat up there at the best of times. Yeah,
well look, there's plenty of NZ champions that are racing at Bay Park at the moment, and another one that we'll look at is Dean Brindle. He's an ex-New Zealand champ, and he took out one of the heat races there. Good to see the CB Caravan and RV Rentals sponsored sprinter performing well, and he's a bit of a veteran now, AJ, but he's certainly got a bit of fire in the belly.
Yeah, the fire still burns deeply, and he's a very respected driver up and down the country, and he's another one of those guys that when the flame burns hard, it burns hot.
Yeah, it does, and probably the hottest sprint car driver at the moment racing in the North Island is Daniel Thomas, and it was Daniel taking out another feature race at Bay Park, and he did it in style, really put a big gap between him and second place, and AJ, I remember him when he was down in Nelson here. He was very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. Not really a name that's known particularly well around the South Island, but Daniel's a hell of a good driver, and now he's racing for a pretty well-heeled team in the Harper Leonard outfit. He's got all the resources behind him and all the equipment. He is going to be very, very tough to beat at the Nationals.
Well, the other class we like is the midgets, and they were racing at Bay Park in the Midas All-Stars. And what do you think of Jack Lowe's performance, AJ?
Yeah, they'd be happy. A very solid performance in those heat races.
Well, the first heat was taken out by Peter Honeybell, and Jack's performance was pretty good. He went from 11th to 5th, a few good solid placings there. The second heat was taken out by Michael Pickens. Of course, that's a return to form for him. Jack started 4th and ended up 4th, so we know how hard it is to make places there, AJ.
Oh yeah, you know, you're up against the best of the best, aren't you? And, you know, Jack, every turn of the wheel, they're getting that experience that they really need.
Brad Mosen took out the third heat. Jack wasn't actually in that, and the feature was Jack actually had DNF, but you'll just see here the track started to deteriorate, and it was Campbell Stewart that initially went for a big tumble. Turns out that car was just about destroyed in that, so a big hole opening up on the track. The base park won't be too pleased about that.
No, they're trying to set a really high standard with their track this year, and a hole like that, boy, it did some damage, didn't it? He got some height out of that in a tough landing. Yeah,
so the restart happens here. Jack Lowe goes into the same part of the track, and wouldn't you know it, exactly the same thing, not carrying as much pace there. And it was a gentle roll in the end. Speaking to Blair, his dad, he said just the usual stuff, a front axle and an oil tank rupture, so that's repairable, nothing too serious. Okay folks, the next section we'll look at is the road to the New Zealand Sprint Car title. Of course that's happening at Ruapuna on the 4th and 5th of February. AJ, this is always exciting. What's some of your picks?
Well, the countdown's on, isn't it? And I think the early blows are being struck by the North Islanders, that really tough competition that they're getting up there at Bay Park. But the Southern boys, you know, things are just starting to amp up here. There's been some good fields down the line, and Ruapuna's opening night produced some pretty good hard action. You know, it's going to be really tough to pick who's going to go into this, because championships can be won and lost on just simple bad luck.
Louise, what are your thoughts?
Of course, we can't forget our international visitor, Joel Myers Jr., the 16-year-old who's making his way out from California. I think that he'll be a real threat to some of the guys.
Yeah, we don't know much about Joel Myers Jr. at the moment, AJ. Enlighten us a wee bit. What can we expect?
You're going to expect a battle-hardened Californian kid. Like up there, the scene is sort of evolving. A lot of kids with big balls, and they just get out there and do the job. Joel will be arriving in New Zealand, having not raced for 3 or 4 weeks. The Northern California season's about done, but you know, he's looking forward to this. He's up for the challenge. A lot of quarter-mile tracks in the Northern California area, so he knows what to expect.
And the rumour is that he may well be the next Buddy Coforth. We all remember Buddy here 5 years ago tearing up the tracks of the South Island. Well, continuing on with our road to the New Zealand Sprint Car title, we've got a special guest in the studio. Connor Rangi's turned up, and good to see you here, Connor. You guys are going pretty well with your race team at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a good start to the season, so hopefully we can carry that on.
Just for the fans that don't know, Connor took out a heat of the Sprint Car Southern Series, and he took out the first heat of the Sprint Car Summer Slam here in Christchurch. Tell me, what's the plan for the New Zealand title? How do you approach it? What's happening for you guys?
We try to just approach it like a normal meeting, try not to get too involved in the hype of it, and just go about our business and see what we can do.
Well, it's been a stunning rise for you guys. I think back to the days when you were driving that mini stock around, and you were one of the few guys to actually go from a mini stock to a sprint car. Tell us how that came about.
Yeah, we did the mini stock thing for 5 years, and then sort of always wanted to go sprint car racing. Wasn't quite sure how we were going to do it, and then we leased a car for a few shows and loved it, and then ended up buying one for the next season.
Not many people go from mini stocks to sprint cars. I mean, you must have given yourself a fright. I mean, how did it all play out?
Yeah, I do remember the first meeting. It was, I think, about round 5 of War of the Wings at Ruapuna, so we jumped right in the middle of the season, and first heat I sort of thought, oh, what am I doing out here? Might be an over my head, but we had a good night and just carried on from there.
So where did your first success come from? When did you win your first feature race?
Would have been the next season at Ruapuna, at a War of the Wings round, yeah.
Well, it's pretty impressive. And the other highlight I remember was when Buddy Coforth come to town. And tell us what you remember about that experience.
Yeah, I remember seeing him first up at Cromwell, and he was definitely fast. And it was good to have him there though, because you could learn off him, watch what he was doing, and if you could get him behind him in a race, then just go with him and see what he was doing and the lines that he was taking. So it definitely helped us, and and pushed us to another level.
Well, I particularly remember a couple of races at Ruapuna, and I think you were virtually wall riding following this guy, because that's exactly what he was doing. You didn't seem to be fearful of it.
No, I seen that he was doing it, and that was the line. So I just had to do it if I wanted to go with him. Yeah.
Well, since that time, your career's really matured a bit now, and you've raced in a few series. The War of the Wings, of course. You had a bit of bad luck 2 seasons ago, but you redeemed yourself last season. Tell us about those contrasting seasons.
Yep, they definitely ended a lot differently, which was nice. Both were really good seasons. Both were very similar seasons. Just one of them ended up winning, so it was really good to sort of get that out the way and sort of get that weight off my shoulders, which I only really put on myself. So there's not really any pressure now, I don't think, to go out there and win it again. Obviously we're going to try, but yeah, there's not a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, well, it's been impressive watching your career, and I see that you attracted a good sponsor in Dalton's last year. How did that deal come about?
I met Jonathan Allard and then met Colin from Dalton's when they come down for the Gold Cup. Not the season just been, but the season before, and got talking, and then just sort of more talks in the off season, and then it all sort of started happening, and here we are now.
Well, it's pretty impressive, and Ruapuna's been helped out by Dalton's as well, sponsoring the Sprintcar Summer Slam. Tell us, with you being in the same sponsors team as Jonathan Allard, how does it play out between you two? Are you teammates effectively, or how does it all play out?
Yeah, I guess you could say we are. We're always chatting on the phone, and he's definitely helped me out a lot, which I'm really grateful for. But yeah, there's no team orders or anything, so when we're racing together, it's just, yeah, who can come out on top.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, it's going to be impressive watching the 2 Dalton's cars racing around Ruapuna on the 4th and 5th of February. Of course, Jonathan Allard's back in America at the moment. He's taken out a feature race over there recently, so he's in top class form. And Connor Rangi, if you really like Connor Rangi, you need to get yourself down to the track on the 4th and 5th of February and watch that Dalton's car flying around.
The team at Edge Parts and Performance have got safety covered. They're proud stockists of Simpson safety products: helmets, head and neck restraints, harnesses, racing suits, gloves, shoes and more. Simpson safety products provide an unparalleled level of comfort, performance and protection. Come and check out their new range of Simpson suits, lightweight 2-layer SFI approved suits that offers flexibility and functionality all in one. They've also got the Red Devil carbon fibre lightweight racing helmet in stock. Carnival rides are booked and the fireworks are ready for Ruapuna Speedway's Carnival Fireworks Night, brought to you by Concut. This is a fantastic night for the family with plenty of racing action and entertainment around the track. You can expect lolly scrambles, circus performers, carnival rides and a stunning fireworks show later in the evening. The Racecourse Hotel and Motor Lodge Ruapuna Speedway Carnival Fireworks Night. Don't miss out on this one. The gates open at 4:30 and the dirt starts flying at 6. Okay, folks, that was Connor Rangi joining the show, and he is the South Island's best hope at the New Zealand Sprint Car title on the 4th and 5th of February on current form. And we thought we might take this opportunity to talk with the North Island's best hope, Daniel Thomas. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Now, you're in a purple patch of form at the moment. We've been watching you racing around Bay Park, and you've taken out 2 feature races there. It seems to be all going your way at the moment. How does it feel?
Yeah, pretty good. It's something we wanted to achieve straight away, is just hit out real fast out of the bat and be right on top. So,
well, tell us about your career. For us South Islanders, we've only seen you a couple of times in the mainland. I think one time was in Nelson in the Sunshine Classic, and you took that out. What is your career, and what did you start in first, and how did you make your way into sprint cars?
it started in mini stocks in 2002. So this is my 20th season. Yeah, just me and my dad built a car in the shed and off we went racing. And from there I had success there, and we thought we'll follow this up and go into mini sprints. And we got 2NZ and North Island champs and stuff. And we thought, well, I'm only young once, let's get a sprint car and go for it.
And you were telling me a funny story. You virtually sold your mini sprint for enough dollars to actually buy a sprint car. Is that right?
Yeah, it was same dollar. I think it was about 29 grand, and we brought the sprint car, and yeah, it was a good deal. But 3 meetings in, it blew up as all good deals go. So.
Well, how did you find the sprint car when you got in? Certainly the horsepower is a lot different, and the mini sprint you virtually drive on the steering wheel with your foot flat. How did you find it?
Well, yeah, as soon as you touch that throttle and you realise what you're dealing with, it's just incredible. Yeah, there's no feeling like it in anything I've touched. So, yeah, I was hooked straight away. Biggest smile on my face in the first practice at Kiki when we did, and I think I did a wheel stand from one straight to the other and come in and got told off by Mark Edwards saying, you don't drive sprint cars like that, tame it down and get smooth and move on.
Well, that's probably pretty good advice. And look, I first seen you at that Nelson meeting we talked about earlier, and I was blown away. I think you got 2 warm-up laps, and then I think you set the track record. Is that right?
Yeah, it would have been probably the 5th lap I did around there, but yeah, it's very similar to the tracks I've raced in my beginning of my career, like Huntly and Rotorua and stuff like that, even Stratford, I suppose, but and Kiki. When I first got to Nelson, I saw the track and I went, wow, that's small. But once we got out there, it actually flowed really well, and it's got a lot of room for passing. It was a very unique track and very fun to go to. So.
Gotcha, man. And I see you got a few moths here in the old garage giving you a bit of a hassle at the moment, but good to see that car in the background too. It's certainly looking pretty good. Well, look, how did you get together with Kevin Freeman? Because I think it was Kevin that put that deal together for you, and I think you were teammates with Sam O'Callaghan at the time.
Yeah, friend of ours that used to rent a property off my parents was good friends with Kevin from the sidecar days. So, and my dad used to race sidecars back in the late 80s as well. And after the New Zealands, we caught up and we got talking in the club rooms. Obviously, we got 3NZ, we were on a pretty big high. So it was good having a good chat with Kevin. And yeah, must have been a month or so later, went just before a week before the South Island title and the Sunshine Classic. He gave me a call and said, "We'd love to have you down here, and I've got a car here for you. Let's give it a go." So I took the offer.
Yeah, it was a stunning performance. It really was. You sort of burst onto the scene. So look, the sprint car title is coming up. We've talked about it, the 4th and 5th of February. How many meetings will you run prior to this? How do you approach it, and what do you think your real chances are?
Well, so we joined a new team, HLR, in New Zealand here with Jeff and Suzanne Harper, and that's really given us a big boost for this year. We probably wouldn't be where we are right now with the 2 wins already without them. So we're going to mostly race at Western Springs leading up to, obviously Bay Park as well, and Kiki. We are contracted Kiki still, luckily. And yeah, we'll do the International Sprint Car Series against the Aussies that are coming over, and then Bay Park, North Island Champs, and then we'll basically get ready for the New Zealands.
Pretty interesting career you've had there, Daniel, and what's your serious thoughts about who the North Island contenders might be for the title?
Oh, you can never count out Michael Pickens, Jonathan Allard, even Dean Brindle, Stephen Taylor. There's a lot of top guys up here. Jamie McDonald, all past champions in some way, and yeah, we just got to keep up with them, and so far we're doing that, which is where we wanted to be. So Western Springs will be the next tail for us. We've got to make sure we have pace there, and if we can get going there, I think we'll really boost our confidence for the title coming up.
So you did mention a few ex-New Zealand champions in that list of drivers. How do you actually get past them? And I mean that seriously. I mean, do you have to be braver than them? Do you have to have racecraft? Do you have to set them up a couple of laps beforehand before you make the pass? How does it all play out?
Yeah, most definitely. It all comes down to having the right guys behind you in the pits. Jason McIndoe getting this car set up every time. The shock guy, Kevin, at Flying W Race Suspension. He's got our shock package that is just working exceptionally well. And once you've got those things going, and how comfortable I am in this car at the moment, being with these guys on the track, it's just another competitor. Yeah, sure. You know, you look at Michael Pickens and we know how good he is, and Jonathan Allard and that. But you just treat them as another competitor, and you just race them as fair as you want to be raced, and try and get the passes done that you can.
Yeah, well, look, as we say, it's pretty impressive stuff, and certainly it's great to see your form coming to a head right now, and I think you're a real chance, certainly from where I'm looking, at the New Zealand title in Ruapuna. Look, thanks for joining the show, Daniel. It's great to have your input here, and we hope to see a bit more of your racing coming up. Certainly we like to review what's happening at Bay Park, particularly if we have some of our other drivers, but it's more especially with the sprint car racing that's going on. We're certainly going to be having a close look at what's going on. So thanks again for joining the show.
Awesome, thank you.
Triple X chassis are now in stock at Edge Parts and Performance. These outstanding sprint car chassis are winners with the World of Outlaws, proven in Pennsylvania, and raced on the bull rings of New Zealand. Edge Parts and Performance, proud stockists of racer-inspired, race-proven Triple X chassis and race components.
Hey folks, it's giveaway time, and of course we're always giving something away here on Methanol Madness, and Joe Johnson has donated to us a 2018-19 hardcovered memorabilia book on sprint car racing. Of course, Buddy Coforth on the front cover there, and inside you'll see plenty of memories of that season and some very outstanding photographs on there. Louise, you've come up with a competition. How are we going to give this away?
Yes, that's going to be a really cool prize. I think that lots of people are going to want to get their hands on. So all you have to do to go into the draw to win that one is head over to the Ruapuna Speedway Facebook page and answer this question. What year did Jamie Duff win the New Zealand Sprint Car title?
Well, there you go, folks. For those sprint car fans, will probably know that fairly easily, but make sure you go over to that Facebook page, put your answer down there, and we'll see if you are the lucky recipient of the hardcover from Joe Johnson, who is Motorsport Files. Well, we have a new section to the show. It's called Batman Soapbox. And AJ, what are we talking about this week?
We're going to talk about championships. I think it's time the six-shooters got a fair rub of the green from Speedway New Zealand. They don't have any sort of national championship. No Grand Prix, no South Island Championship, no North Island Championship. Here's a class that arrives in numbers at every show that they do up and down the country. New Zealand Under-21 Solo Championships. Yeah, you're lucky to get 6. The mini sprints, the domain of 3 or 4 tracks in the North Island, and that is it. Here is a class that is right up and down the country, and it develops very, very good talent, and it is worthy of national championship status. Come on, Speedway New Zealand, fair's fair.
Well, there you go, folks, a thought-provoking moment, and Batman Soapbox is going to be a regular section on the show. We'll bring up topics that are obvious to all of us and might need addressing from time to time. Well, we're getting close to the end of the show, and Louise, final thoughts for you?
Well, coming up, we've got a really busy weekend ahead with the CTRA South Island Quarter Midget title out at Ellesmere, so that'll be really cool to see that kind of play out with 22 quarters showing up. It's definitely going to be a very busy day.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. 22 quarter midgets out at Ellesmere. AJ, what's happening for you in the next few days?
Well, we're just starting to gear up. You know, we've got the Cut Carnival and Fireworks Night coming up, including the Dalton Sprint Car Summer Slam. Can't wait for it. May just go out to Hazard and have a look at the talent that's coming through the crop of the quarter midgets.
Yeah, well, for me, it's Carnival Fireworks Night. If you've never been down to this event at Ruapuna Speedway, it is iconic now. It's a festival of car racing and entertainment. So bring your little ones down here, but make sure you get your tickets online. You want to get through that gate as quick as you can on race day. So that is the end of the show, folks. And until next time, keep your foot up it.